This presentation on managed services, identifying the major services delivery models, is brought to you by OneNeck IT Services. Today's common hosting and managed services solutions come in several different flavors. Although names may vary slightly from one provider to the next, the typical service models companies deploy today include remote managed services, infrastructure hosting, application managed services, and full managed services. In remote managed services, all or part of your existing infrastructure will be managed remotely by a vendor. All hardware and software remains at your premises, and the vendor monitors and controls the devices from their location. The most common services deployed in this model include 24/7 support, infrastructure management, security management, and operating system administration. Gartner Incorporated, an industry research firm, expects explosive growth rates in utilization of remote infrastructure services. Previous studies predict 70% of all North American companies will have remote managed service contracts in place by the end of 2012. Infrastructure hosting can include a turnkey IT solution on the vendor's infrastructure or your own existing infrastructure and the vendor's data center. Typical services with this model are 24/7 support, infrastructure management, security management, operating systems administration, and disaster recovery. Additionally, you get the advantage of tested and proven ITIL best practices in IT management, world-class technology, and the ability to take advantage of the vendor certification and accreditations in compliance areas. Application management can be added to either remote services or infrastructure hosting. Basically, this service model involves a vendor managing all of your environment through an application layer. Examples of managed applications can be as simple as Archive Directory, terminal services, and Microsoft Exchange to more complex applications like ERP applications, business intelligence, and data warehouses. Full managed services. When businesses use this service model, they outsource all of their IT functions to a third-party service provider. Company executives and IT managers can focus on developing strategies based on the business's objectives and the IT strategies executed by the outsourcing vendor, including the day-to-day aspects of IT user support. In the case of a company managing all of its IT operations internally, crucial services may be missing. For example, the company may not have service level guarantees, disaster recovery, true 24/7 support, centralized monitoring, centralized change management, established patch deployment practices, or other important services. Plus, the businesses may be operating with dated applications, technologies, and equipment. With hosting and managed services, companies can benefit from a centralized and comprehensive solution. They can offload the day-to-day focus on managing IT operations to a third-party expert. And, most beneficial, they can have the guaranteed levels of service from their vendor, even during a disaster. All of these features add up to a centralized operations, optimized performance, reduced risk, and predictable costs. And most companies will realize significant cost savings based on these benefits. Companies managing in-house IT operations need to carefully analyze their current situation against available external options. Working with a proven services provider can transform a business by improving performance and lowering costs. A company's first step should be to identify the multiple components that could affect the outsourcing decision and accurately determine the actual cost of those areas within the business. Understanding where you are now as it relates to costs is crucial to assessing the real cost of in-house versus outsourcing. Then compare the strengths and weaknesses of each service delivery model, paying close attention to cost impacts. About the author. Chuck Vermillion is the CEO and founder of OneNeck IT Services, a leading provider of hosted application management and managed services since 1997. For more information about managed services, visit www.oneneck.com today.